GM, NFT Paris, are you still with us? One more time, NFT Paris, are you still with us? There we go. I know it's been a long weekend, I know we got a long day, but it's been some incredible talks, and I'm really excited for this one. This is one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. I'm Matt Medved, co-founder, CEO, editor-in-chief of Now Media, home to NFT Now, The Gateway, Sovereignty, and more. We have an amazing panel on the underlying value of NFTs. We got Betty, we got Julian, we got Ray. We're going to start with a round of brief intros, and then we're going to get into it because there's a lot to talk about. So, Betty, if you want to start?
Hi, I'm Betty. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Deadfellaz and Deadfellaz.
Hey everyone, Doodles in the crowd? More this time? All right. I'm Julian, I'm the CEO of Doodles.
I'm Ray.
I see some Memeland in the crowd. We'd love to see it. So I'm going to open it up with just a real blunt question. Like, how are you all still here, right? Like, how did you survive the bear market? What was that like, and how did you get from the start of the project to where we are now?
Fucking resilience. That's the short and sweet answer. I think that in order to survive over the last year especially, it's taken grit and flexibility and the ability to pivot and just keep pushing, strong vision, strong community, yeah.
I would agree. I think being nimble is a superpower, and if a bear market is going to teach you anything, it's whatever worked 6 months ago is not going to work right now, and you're going to need to figure out a new way, and if you don't, you're done. So you have to figure it out, you have to survive.
The question is, why are we still here, right? Money, right? I think money is the reason why a lot of people are still in Web3, but at the same time, I think the technological breakthrough, all this innovation, all the culture, all the community is also the reason why we're still here. But I would say that maybe 69% is because of money.
Fair enough, and we'll get into all of that. I mean, speaking about things disappearing and things changing and the climate not being the same, a lot has changed for community-based projects since 2021 and the hype cycle and the markets then with creator royalties as a dependable revenue stream. The disappearance of that has hurt a lot of projects. It's changed the financial calculus for many projects. I'm curious to hear from each of you, like, how has that impacted and shifted your strategy in running your respective projects?
I mean, royalties in general wasn't a strategy for longevity at any point, right? Like, it really wasn't. And in terms of building a company and solid revenue streams, it didn't factor into that. It was just something that was there. I think it's impacted a lot of people, though, that use royalties as the utility. So, like, royalties being used to buy art back from the community was a big thing for a lot of people. For us, we're focused on gaming and creating products, so we have those avenues, and the loss of royalties just forced us to pivot a little bit quicker than we, intended to originally. But yeah, flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like in 2022, we forecasted for our business that royalties were going to be there and going to be a material part of the revenue engine. That stopped, so you needed to pivot, and at this point, we're not, like, if royalties come back in a meaningful way one day, great, but for us, that's just a cherry on top. Like, you need to pivot, you need to create diverse revenue streams, you need to create a sustainable business, in a number of different ways to actually have a thriving business. So I'd say it was definitely a pivot at the time, but we were thankful enough, when all that was going down, we had raised a pretty big round of capital to help us sustain over the long term, which was not the case for every single project. So we feel fortunate in that regard, but at the end of the day, if they come back, they come back. If they don't, they don't.
We started in June 2022. We are the youngest, right, among the so-called top projects, right? So our contract is actually mutable. That means we can upgrade our contract. So until today, we are actually getting full royalty on Blur, right? So So I mean, the market changes, right? But somehow, I think one thing that we kind of know is the tech. We have to keep changing with it. But as Betty and also as Julian mentioned, right, I think a project team should not see that as a main revenue stream, right? Because if you make money only when people sell, then how are you actually building the community, right? Can we create some new revenue stream or new way of like a business, right? So we can work with our community to build something bigger together. I think that can be a way out.
Yeah, I love that. And as we think about building new revenue streams, you know, I've often spoken about this sort of tension, almost a natural tension that exists between the desire to build the brand, to build the business, to create these sustainable revenue streams, and then also taking actions and initiatives that the holders will feel, right? That will accrue value back to the holders, because these things are not always one and the same, right? So I'm curious, like, how have you, each of you, navigated that with your respective projects, and what's sort of like your strategy there for ensuring that, like, you know, all of the efforts and energy that you're putting in to build this as a sustainable business are also translating to making the holders happy as well?
I think having honest conversations with the community from the start and having a clear expectation of what's to come for the brand is important, but at the same time, going back to that flexibility and ability to pivot with the markets and the sentiment is important. So like right now you're seeing the airdrop meta, right? Everybody wants airdrops, everybody wants you to create relationships with other projects so that your holders get airdrops, and that's like fun. So we are doing that, and you're seeing that from a lot of projects. It's making people happy. It's not necessarily the reason for a project to be in existence, but it is fun. Interoperability was a big buzzword in 2021, and then it kind of just, in the bear, everyone was like, oh, maybe we don't need to focus on that right now. But a lot of people did, in the background, build and prepare for this moment where you're seeing now a lot of collections being integrated into games. So like, we just put all of our Deadfellaz pixels into the pixel game. It's really fun. Everybody likes it, and you're going to see that sort of thing continue to happen, I think.
Yeah, I think like drafting off of that, the culture and the community in Web3 is really prevalent. I think, you know, what dominated the headlines in mainstream media in 2021 and 22 were, it was all about the financial side of it. It was all about the flex, like who could rock Bored Ape as their PFP, and you know that kind of transcended legitimate mainstream media, like Jimmy Kimmel and Paris Hilton holding up their phones and their Bored Apes on late night. And I think that put a bad taste in like the global mass market's mouth. And what was really underneath all of that was the fact that there were communities rallying around the fact that there was this new financial opportunity to get in with a collectible and an NFT early, ride that to an incredible place, and feel that rush of, you know, new wealth being created with you and your friends and your, you know, these other community members that you met online. And I think now that the prices have fallen for the most part, I think the community aspect and the culture aspect is the thing that's most interesting about Web3, because you're talking about giving people opportunities to really feel like they're part of something. And a lot of people that are in Web3 maybe were searching for that, right? Like finance maybe brought them here, but I don't think it's the only reason that people are staying. I think it's a lot of the reason that a lot of people stay, but I think the culture that is Web3 is real culture, the same way the culture around hip hop is real culture, the same way the culture around sports is real culture. This culture is not going away, and I think the narratives are going to evolve over time, but at the end of the day, all the communities in Web3 are really part of something, and I think each one of us up here is trying to disrupt and fight against some sort of preordained establishment that I think everybody really believes in and people want to see through.
It's really cool you bring that up, and I see that value as well, and I think that the ability for the community to come together and proliferate what you're building by building things themselves, it's really cool. Like we have a holder, shout out to Simon if Simon is in here. He just launched his clothing brand, which is something that's really exciting and awesome, and other people have come to me and said, you know, you've got a Deadfellaz that's just released a brand, and that's really awesome. There's people that have come together and found each other in the community and done filmmaking and won awards, you know, like it's new directions for their life. So yeah, I think that's a good point.
We started another company working in Web2 called iGet like 15 years ago, right? And then we joined YC in 2012. And actually, Coinbase was our batch. By the way, no one really understood like what Brian Armstrong was building at the time. If I bought some Bitcoin at the time, I wouldn't be here, right? Yeah, but anyway, why I bring YC up is because the motto at YC is make something people want. Right? And I think building Web3, co-building with our community, the good thing is you actually can just go to Discord, right? Just go to Twitter to ask your holders, hey, what actually do you want, right? Do you want some merch? Do you want a token? Do you want a better PFP, better artwork? Or do you want whatever? Or maybe some allowances and stuff, right? I think you can literally ask them, right? As a guy who build products, I really love Web3 because the feedback will be so fast. The moment that you launch something that sucks, your holders will 100% tell you, right? So I think for us, on one hand, is to listen to our holders. By the way, when I say listen, I'm not saying that we do everything that they want because they are fucking greedy, right? They want everything, right? So we understand what they want, and then we see what can we build and bring, and then we try to prioritize it, right? And by doing so, the people who understand you are actually here for the long haul, then they continue to stay around, right? Maybe the 4 price pump, maybe they sell some to cover, right, the cost. But I think in general, you build a trust so that, in the future, maybe you build some products that maybe they don't understand, they will still be more patient. So it's almost like a process where we can build trust, but listen to them and also deliver. We always try to say that, hey, can we under-promise and over-deliver? Right now, when we do it, it's really hard because people expect too much. Sometimes they hype it too much so that they get disappointed, right? But at the same time, we always say that, hey, what we are building, we are in it for the long haul, right? Maybe it kind of sucks, right? But this is the first version, right? And that's why, for example, like tonight, we're actually having an event with Pudgy, right? Pudgy Penguins, right? And then some guys came to me, he's our holders, and they said, he came across like Luca on the street, and Luca told him that, hey, come to our party tonight, it's going to be awesome. And then I literally told him that, hey, you can come to our party tonight, but don't expect too much, right? It's just some random guy, all the dudes having beer and stuff, right? I think by doing that, on one hand, they don't know whether you're joking, right? But on the other hand, they also feel like, you are trying to manage the expectation. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. Betty, you've been a vocal advocate for creator royalties and for artists. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on marketplaces like Magic Eden that are making, partnering with projects and promising to safeguard this? Are you bullish on that? Do you think that that could actually make a sustainable impact on the industry?
I do, and for the reason that they're not just looking at royalties for creators as a benefit for creators, they're also looking at how to benefit the people participating in that marketplace, like the people that are buying the NFTs. And I think that looking at it as a whole ecosystem rather than piecemealing, we want to help these people or these people or these people, is the way to look at it. Because as soon as you start taking things out of that circular value exchange that we had kind of in 2021, where it seemed to work, stuff starts going wrong, and the bear market isn't anyone's fault, it's just how it's gone. But I think it was a perfect storm of a lot of things being pulled away, and then when things start getting taken away from you, you start to turn on each other, and rather than coming together with solutions, it's a lot of fighting and, you don't deserve royalties, yes I do, type of thing. Whereas I see what Magic Eden are doing is bringing solutions that hopefully benefit the whole ecosystem rather than just one group, and I think that's very important. Obviously I don't know what's to come, but Magic Eden have come far in terms of how their ability to execute is done, and I'm impressed by them, so yeah, bullish.
Happy to hear it. I just had Julian for a fireside chat, but I'm glad I get you back because we can go on forever. But there was an area that we brought up that I wanted to dig a little deeper in, which is I know Doodles acquired Golden Wolf, the animation studio. I think the entire creative industry was kind of wowed over the past week or two with Sora, OpenAI's video, like text to video. How are you thinking about how AI video is going to disrupt animation and also, breaking new IP like you're doing with Doodles?
So, I'll just there was one headline yesterday. Tyler Perry is famously doing this massive, Tyler Perry is a major movie studio executive, like responsible for some like Hollywood's biggest hits. He's doing this major studio expansion in Atlanta, and he put it on hold after he saw Sora. It was an $800 million expansion, and he put it on hold. So if that is a signal at all about the way this is all trending, I look at it as an opportunity, but I'd say the creative industry is looking at it as a major threat, just because it is probably going to come for jobs. But if you leverage the technology the right way, you look at it as a way to create 10x the amount of output with the same sort of staff. So it's definitely going to disrupt the animation pipeline. It's definitely going to, like illustrators, artists, like at the end of the day, like this technology is getting so good, so fast. It's not perfect yet, but the amount of progress it's made in the last, even 3 months is really remarkable. So I'd say that you're really not paying attention, and you're really doing yourself a disservice not to be looking into ways that you can leverage this as a business leader. And we're certainly doing that at Golden Wolf. One of the biggest things last year was we were trying to get Hollywood to adapt the Doodles IP. We were meeting with every studio, like really big studios. You name them, we met with them, and we got pretty far with a couple of them. We couldn't get the right deal done. We couldn't get the right upside, we couldn't get the right priority. So we decided instead, we're not gonna wait for Hollywood to tell us our IP is good enough to adapt into that kind of content. We're gonna go out, buy our own animation studio, and self-finance our own content. And we actually have our first pilot coming this year, which is gonna be a massive project. Already we're thinking about how are we gonna do it differently from this one to the next one because of the way all this stuff is trending.
Absolutely. Ray, I know that you have been vocal as to your belief, a shared belief actually, that Asia is going to drive the next bull run and the next cycle. I'm really curious, like, what are you seeing in the market in terms of trends, in terms of things to watch? And I know that it's an area that has been, where sentiment has been good and better than in the West, even before the sort of market upturn that we've been seeing. So I'm really curious to hear your perspective.
Sure, but before I answer the Asia bullish answer, right, I think I want to add a little bit, add on to what Betty and Julian mentioned. Right? I think on the royalty side, I think the biggest challenge was actually you thought that that would be a revenue stream, and then it's suddenly gone. Right? But for any new project that's minting right now, they already know that for facts that basically the royalty is zero, right? If they still fuck up what they are going to do, what they open to sustain the company, right? Then they're stupid, right? Because you know that this is zero, and then you still launch a collection. That depends on royalty, right? That doesn't work. That's why a lot of artists, they move to ordinals, right? Because you do the mint, no royalty at all, right? And somehow it sounds very backward, but this is what it is, right? I hear people saying that this is actually a feature of ordinals, right? So I think it's not about what, it's always about how we respond, right? And I think for artists, right, they are super creative. If they are not creative to figure this out, then probably they are not very good artists, right? This is about the royalty stuff. And then on the IP, on the open AI and stuff, it's very funny again, because Sam, actually the guy, is the guy who covered recruited us in the YC. We always know that he's like super smart and stuff, but we didn't know that, okay, he could be raising a 7 trillion round, doing that so right and stuff. Before that, people think that he's crazy, right? After that, people think that shit, this is actually makes sense, right? So I think a lot of this kind of stuff is almost, right? If you are in the industry again, you probably have used like Stable Diffusion. You have used like Midjourney, right? If you are still not afraid that your job will be taken, you are not really that good, right? Again, right? This is like very, very, it's like tautology, but somehow if you're that good, you're really paying attention to what the market is doing in your industry. And then for Asia, it's not the future bull run, it's the last bull run, right? All the listing people, head of listings, people that we talk to, they're all of the top exchange, they're all Asians, right? And then when I talk to our community, right? Actually, of course, we have a very global community, but a lot of our biggest holders are actually like Asians, right? And of course, when you look at the regulations, you see that, okay, in the US, I don't know what's happening there, right? But in Hong Kong, it's actually pushing Web3. The government, right, the chief executive, literally come out and say, okay, we are pushing Web3, right? Please come to Hong Kong. And you have one of the biggest NFT company in Hong Kong is Animoca, right? And right now you kind of have Memeland, right? Yeah, although we are 100% remote. But somehow you can see that Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, they're definitely leading the change. And crypto and technology is actually going where the liquidity is, right? And also when you talk about talent as well, a lot of the AI stuff, they are also from a programmer, right? From China, from India as well. So I would say that not just crypto, right? But basically the whole world global economy is basically leading by Asia. The question is not whether it's lead by Asia. The question is, okay, if I'm from the US, if I'm from France, how can I benefit it, right? That's why I was talking to a holder. Hey, you're like 20-year-old kid that have like 1,000 ETH in your wallet, right? Just come to Hong Kong to live for 3 years, and then you can learn some Chinese, and probably you can do better than all your peers in your US after some time. Right? So I think this is the way. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why we expanded to Gateway Korea in September. It was our first international expansion because we really see the promise of the Asian region. Betty, I know that you with Deadfellaz have kind of adopted a new strategy, a new approach recently in which you've been incubating projects. You recently had the Dead Bits drop. Tell us a little bit about what was behind that and where that's going.
So it kind of came from the bear market. So looking at the bear market and knowing so many people in our community that are so talented, and people that we've worked with, and people that have lost their jobs in many other amazing companies, sadly. And a lot of these people have a lot of very good ideas, but don't necessarily have the resources to launch anything, but they have all of the ability and the skill to execute. So we've been looking at all of these different opportunities, and people have just been bringing them to them. It wasn't something that I was going out and being like, hey, we want to incubate a new company. They were coming over, hey, Betty, I've got this really cool idea. Maybe you could support what we're doing. So we have started doing that under the umbrella of DFC Labs. It's not Deadfellaz, but we look after it as new IP. And yeah, we just went into Bitcoin. We do have something coming on Say, which is alpha, but I can't give you any more information on that. They're going in very different directions, so in line with the tone of the chains themselves. So, for example, what's on Bitcoin isn't necessarily going to be the same theme as what's on Say. Say is very accessible, it's very affordable, it's very, very fast. So with that, we have the ability to, just give access to the existing communities that we have, but also provide jobs and opportunities for people that are very, very talented and do deserve those opportunities to shine and to fly into new opportunities. And it also kind of goes back to that degen experimental side of things that we had in 2021. I think we're seeing that come back a lot now. You feel the energy, there's a lot of money coming into the market, crypto in general. You're feeling all of this movement and all of the projects, you're seeing new things come, we're seeing Gaga coming back as the CEO of Bored Apes, right? Like it's all kind of painting this picture of this fresh new start for a lot of people. So it's going in line with that, and it's very exciting. We're having a lot of fun in the background, and I'm excited to release more information soon.
Of course. Julian and I actually worked together during our time at Billboard. Coming from Web2 Media, coming from the music industry, I'm sure it's been a really interesting, adventure, bringing that knowledge to Web3, seeing what works, what doesn't. Obviously, a lot of brand partnerships, a lot of tapping into the music industry. Pharrell being chief brand officer. I'd love to hear from your perspective, what were some of the things that you learned at Billboard, the lessons there that you've applied to Web3, and what have been some of the things that you're like, all right, this is a whole new ballgame.
I'd say I got at Billboard, and this, we got fresh exposure to how rabid some fan bases were. I'll never forget that time when Dua Lipa was about to get her first #1, and because of an Amazon bot thing, those streams actually pushed her over the edge, so her #1 was false, and we had to remove those streams, and it brought her down to #2. So her fans went ballistic. I was getting Instagram DMs saying, you hate Albanians, what the hell's wrong with you? It was crazy. And then all the BTS fans on social media, it was just, they were so rabid, they were willing to do whatever they had to do. They stream as much as they could to push their favorite artists to chart positions and things like that. I'd say that concept kind of prepared me a little bit for Web3. But it's not the same. It's not just fandom. It's true they want to be part of the story, not just passively viewing it from the sidelines. So figuring out ways to be unencumbered with running your business, but at the same time making your community actually part of that story is really core to it. Like we launched this thing called the incubator, where if you hold a Doodles NFT, you have access to a $5 million fund where we're gonna launch projects with you, we're gonna launch events with you. Like there was a grant we gave out for an event last night. We gave a grant for one of our community members to actually start a candle company, like a consumer products company. So we're actually giving out grants to people that have good ideas. And not only are you able to go above the cap for your NFT, once you actually get the grant from the incubator, you can actually take agency with our IP and get access to us and some of our knowledge and actually grow businesses together. So I'd say like that concept of kind of like fandom, but bringing it more like business to business and making sure like your community really feels like they're part of the expansion of the company and the brand, that's been really prevalent.
I want to add on a little bit, right, to what Julian just shared. It's 100% correct. Right? I think a lot of Web2 companies, right, they kind of fail, right? They went into Web3. Right? It's not because they don't have money. It's not because they don't have talent, right? It's just that they don't understand the culture, right? And the founders, right, the early team members, they're not actually in Discord all day to talk to all the degens. They will just shit on you just because they buy one of your NFTs, right? I mean, how can you do that, right, when you are using Facebook or using TikTok, right? How can you shit on Mark Zuckerberg? I mean, you can, right? But somehow he can't see it, right? Yeah, so the way that I see it, when I was doing a podcast with Jack, the CEO of Magic Eden, a few days ago, right, I was saying that there's no culture without a cult, right? We talk about NFT all the time, right? It's kind of like a culture. But then we have a cult, right? You know, people are very crazy about the PFP, very crazy about the founders, right? And then the second element is there's no community without communication, right? If you keep talking about community, but actually you don't hang out on Discord, you don't talk to your holders, you don't meet your holders, right? Then what are you building, right? Maybe you're building a company, but it's not like a community. I think these are the things that we want to help Web2 companies, right, to understand. That's why a lot of our companies are reaching out to us to say, hey Ray, can you guys become the launch pad and then to launch a token for us, right? I would say, what is the use of your stuff, right? I mean, of course, I understand there's like liquidity, but actually, what do you want to do with your token, right? I mean, they have to answer that, or maybe they have fun. I mean, it's okay, but don't expect that, oh, this is just like stupid people who will give you a few $1 million. And that's it, right? They know, right? When they make your project, right? They expect like 10x in 2 days, right? And the guy who bought it at 10x expect another 10x in 2 days, right? You have to understand how brutal NFT is, right? And this is something that I always share and talk about with our communities. NFT, no, Web3, the tech is awesome, right? People are awful, right? Understanding that is the first step to do well in Web3. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We only have a few seconds left, but Ray, one thing I wanted to ask is, obviously with the market upswing, a lot of projects are talking about launching tokens. You have launched a token. You did it successfully. What were the keys to that success?
From our holders' point of view, it's not successful because we haven't reached $1. Right? So I mean, we have a good start, right? But it's not successful yet, right? I think that the key is why, right? Who will be buying your token? I mean, for NFT, honestly, you just have to have good arts and get like 3,000, 5,000 people to buy it. It's enough. But for a token, right, you have like millions of supply. Who will be buying your token? Right? And the thing is, people are very impatient in Web3. Right? I think you need to, on one hand, understand how to tell the story. Right? On the other hand, you also have to figure out, hey, what's the grand vision that you want to build, that you can't build it without a token. This is something that I always struggle when they are trying to do like a social fund, right? But why, right? And how does the token help? And when your product works, how does the token price go up? If the price doesn't go up, then basically people won't buy your token, right? So I think a lot of questions have to be answered before you actually launch a very useful token. Unless you're Nike, you're Memeland, right? Then you can literally launch a meme coin and people still buy. Thank you for your excellent liquidity, right? Thank you.
Before we finish, I just want to say that this is the largest crowd I've ever seen at any crypto conference ever. And thank you for coming. And this is the sort of thing that furthers the industry that we're in, right? You guys are going to meet people, that you're going to work together, you're going to create amazing things, you're going to learn new stuff. ideas are born in places like this. So well done for coming. Thank you very much. Well done to NFT Paris. This is truly the best that I've seen. So good job, guys.
Thank you. Give it up for our panelists and give it up for yourselves.
Thank you, everyone.